What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you as well. How are you this fine
Having a
morning?
shitty day.
You're having a shitty day? That's right. You ran me through like the laundry.
The
quick little
coffee line
laundry
was
list.
very, very long today, and I was very annoyed because I only ever get black coffee. So it is infuriating to wait behind other people who are like, I want like a lavender-infused oat
Triple
milk
soybean.
latte with a shot of espresso, and I'm like, what are you doing?
You know, I can make black coffee for you here in the mornings.
I thought you didn't have a coffee maker. I always kind of thought that
drinking
you
it
were
right
getting
now.
that from other places because you never drink coffee.
No,
Yeah.
we have. I'm
Well-
actually quite a big coffee drinker now. I have like a little hot plate thing for my desk.
I thought that was for candles.
No,
Because you know
it's to
sometimes
keep my
people
coffee
have
warm.
candle warmers to like diffuse.
I have used it for that purpose.
Anyways,
Yes,
whatever.
but you know.
Well, the point is, the coffee line was very long, and I found out that the back window on my car no longer rolls down, which is
Jonathan.
poor Jonathan. He's really struggling. He doesn't have much longer left in him, I don't think.
Well, I'm sorry you're
Oh,
having
boy.
a
Yeah.
rough
So-
go of it this morning.
We're gonna need some more patrons so that I can get a new car.
Get Mogan's mood up
Yeah.
with a little bit of help on the
That
old
should be
Patreon.
one of our like milestones. It has nothing to do with the show. It's just like Mogan just needs a new car.
Mogan feels better about this.
It just kind of needs some more money for that down payment.
Oh man, but you know, thanks for joining us here on Team Chat Podcast. This episode, where you can listen to a new episode every Thursday morning, except for that 1 week every month where we do a stream instead of a new episode. Give ourselves a little bit of a break and do something different for a
Also,
change.
maybe next time, everybody put it on your
Put
calendars
your
now.
fingers together.
Put your
cross them.
cross those fingers. We think we are actually about to beat Guacamelee 2.
And like
at
we're
long
right
last.
there.
So at the end of this month, we're gonna try our very best to finish Guacamelee 2.
I think we can do it. I think we have to just power through.
We just have to power
to do
through.
it.
Yeah.
The people are clamoring for something.
I'll
new.
bring us those bougie alcohol coffees,
Hell
and we'll
yes.
just blaze
Let's
through
get going.
it. Yeah,
We're gonna finish it. I really do think like we're close.
We're so close.
We have to be close.
And then
I think
after
we're like
that-
an hour and a half.
What are we gonna stream after that?
I don't
Jared?
know. Like that's a very
I say
big
we go back
question.
to Sifu.
You want to do? I that's like the only way I think I'm gonna get back to seafood,
I think-
honestly, because I'm
I
playing
think
so much
we should
Horizon.
do more Sifu, or just because I think we both had so much fun with it, we should do more Tekken, or like any fighting game.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
we always
think-
have fun with fighting
I
games.
think since we finished up though, I know this is planning ahead, but hey, that's great for us to do. You
Yeah,
know, that's a
we
new
never
trend that we should set for ourselves.
plan.
But what if we finish up Guacamelee 2 this next time? The next stream night that we do like a community game of some sort. Be it your
Ooh,
Mario
yeah.
Karts, your Crash Team
because
Racing.
we were talking, we were in somebody else's stream and talking about Crash Team Racing and had some.
No, wait, though. I do
amazing
need to.
game.
Can we couch co-op Crash Team Racing?
Yes,
You can.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure you can.
Okay, cool. So like something like that people can jump on, or is it not? There's something weird about it because we did it the one time, and I know maybe it was just because it was still COVID times, and you were streaming it from your place, I was playing it here, and we had to like do something funky. I don't know, but we can figure it out.
The
when
point is,
time
now
comes.
we're back to couch co-op times.
Yes.
So
But so I'm saying like we finish a game, that's big and exciting. Maybe we do like a community stream night.
that's a good idea.
Hang out with some people, play some fun online games there. Then we jump into like another
So
like longer story.
everybody
game.
start telling us in the Discord what party games you have. Like,
Yeah.
do you have Mario Party? If yes, which one? Do you have Mario Kart? Do you have Crash? So feel free to give us suggestions for
Yep.
what community game you. I guess we could do like Among Us or something, but I don't really enjoy that.
I've never even played Among Us yet.
No interest.
I saw the appeal and I kind of wanted to get into it when it was going big, but then I was just like, I'm playing other stuff.
I've got other shit. I've got other stuff to do. People like the Jackbox.
Yeah, that's true. Those are always fun too.
Or we could play like one of those janky iOS, or what's it called? IO, like .io, one of those janky .io versions of like Cards Against Humanity, like fake Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
Anyway, so give us
Anyways,
some
hit
suggestions.
us up with some suggestions and stuff like that over in the old Discord because, hey, guess what? We have a Discord and you can join it and have a lot of great conversations with us when we're not on here recording the show. And we talk about a lot of things, gaming, non-gaming related things. A lot of food picks, which is honestly makes me hungry. but
Me
I love
too.
it. You know what I mean? Good stuff there. But anyway, so you check that out. You can also find us on other social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And just like we alluded to with all those patrons to help make Mogan happy, well, guess what? We have a lot of them already. And they are Super Saiyan Ace, Elise F, Zach S, Mariah S, Susan M, James K, Ben W, Michael B, Andrew M, Michael S, and Brandon W. They've gone over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast just like you can. And for $1 a month, they're supporting the show. And in return, we give a lot of cool benefits like getting the episodes early before their general Thursday release. And I know what she's going for. She's building towards that heart emoji, but I'm
Hurry,
just
Jared.
not quite there yet. You can support the show, like I said, to get a lot of cool perks. But if you can't do that, that's no big deal at all. You can still support the show. Man, this is kind of throwing me off, but I'm loving it. You can support the show in free ways such as subscribing, telling your friends, all that good stuff. But anyway, all listeners, viewers, patrons alike, we love you. Heart emojis. Boom. There
There
it
we
is.
go.
Got
This
there.
is how I'm going to subtly pressure you into chopping.
we went totally off topic on some other stuff, and then you're gonna rush me through
Well,
the end.
it would have been timed perfectly if you hadn't pointed it out. You should have just kept going.
I'm sorry.
You're a
Whatever.
fool.
We're having a good time.
We'll be ready
this
for
morning.
next time.
The energy's here this morning. I like it. But we do have another installment for the main episode today. We have another installment of our ABCs of gaming.
So fun.
GH and I.
GH and I, guy, if you will.
Guys video games.
Guys video games. Real quick,
Offshoot
before
of
we
Guy
launch
Fieri.
into it, I do want to mention one specific Horizon Forbidden West update
Oh,
that
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
know it just people will want to know about because I found out and I was like, oh my God, thank Jesus. So one, they made the game less shimmery. That's not the
Oh,
one that I care about.
I haven't noticed that really,
But
but
the
okay,
patch
cool.
that I do care about is they made it an option under the settings. You just go to like main and go to settings or whatever. You can now turn off pickup animations.
I did see that.
What
I didn't
so-
turn that on yet. I need to.
I haven't turned it on yet because it just dropped like a few days ago and people didn't, because they didn't really announce it. It wasn't really in the patch notes. So people were like, oh, this is
Yeah.
a thing that you can do now. So a quick note, it only applies to things that are air quote easy to pick up, like grass and more redwood for your bow,
Mm-hmm.
for your arrows. So only like low tier items can be picked up without the
It's
animations.
not like the machines.
So
and
like
stuff.
it depends on what the machine part is, because they gave the example of if you shoot something off of a machine like a chill water canister, that's considered an easy item, so you don't have to do the animation to pick it up.
Got it.
But if you shoot off like a resource canister and there's multiple things in it, and Aloy would actually, in theory, have to open it to get stuff out of it, that still applies. You still have to actually do the crouch and do the animation and physically extract the stuff from it. The same applies to like really big caches, so like supply caches that have a lot of stuff in them, but things like medicinal berries, other just random flora and fauna, rocks on the ground, those are now, you don't have
Just
to do the
immediate
animation to
pickup.
pick them up.
Yeah.
What a godsend.
I think I'm gonna have to do it because
I'm
like
so
it's not-
excited about that.
I like it, but like now knowing that the option is there, I did notice last night when I was playing it. I don't know why I didn't turn it on then, but I did notice. I was like, man, this is kind of annoying. Like,
Yeah.
having to sit there and like
Especially when
for
you're
like when you're picking up like ridgewood for the trees
Yeah.
for your arrows and stuff like that. And I'm just
Ridgewood,
like,
that's what it is,
and
not
I'm just-
redwood.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, sorry.
but yeah, so it's just like picking that stuff up, and I'm just like, oh man,
I mean, the one that
That
I
will
can
be a
see
little
it
time saver
actually
for
being
sure.
applicable is when I'm in the middle of combat, I've never actually stopped to pick up more medicinal berries.
Yeah.
Even though I've run out and I'm about to die, because I'm like, well, it's going to kill me anyways. You can't do the animation in time.
oh, that's true. That would save that for
Yeah,
the fights.
yeah.
I hadn't
so
even
that's
thought about
that's
that.
a potential lifesaver. So if you're in a
Nice.
battle now, don't be afraid to pick up those medicinal berries. You
Could
don't
save your life.
Don't have to crouch to do it anymore. Anyways, that's just
Very
a quick
nice.
aside.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you were saying you haven't really played much this week. So do we need to do like an update, or should we like skip it to spend more time on our ABCs?
I want you to catch up some more.
I did. Okay, I did meet your new husbando though.
Oh, yeah, you did.
did meet
Oh,
him.
That's true. You have made a bit more progress. So did you decide to not go to Poseidon? You went to Aether
I went to Aether.
first?
I needed to
good
meet your
choice.
husbando.
Good
and
choice.
Woo,
Yeah.
I agree.
We're talking about Hikaru.
Hikaru.
Oh, my God.
Mountain of a man.
Heavens to Betsy. He's,
me those
he's
Christopher
a
Judge vibes. I'm
large,
feeling it.
thick with 2 C's, man. he seems like a good stalwart leader.
Yeah.
Like he's in charge, but he's not a dick about it.
That's
it's like,
right.
all right, but he will kill you
feels
if
strong.
you challenge him.
Don't double cross
But that's
him.
just
Don't come
that's
up
just
with-
the way of his people. It's not that he's doing it out of spite. He actually doesn't want to kill you.
Yeah.
But if you force him to kill you, he will have
He's a
to.
lover, not a fighter, but
Yeah.
he will fuck you up. if
So have
needed.
you actually completed his quest? Like that quest? Or are you working on it?
Working on it.
Okay,
I was slowly making my way up, getting distracted by other things.
Making your
along
way
the
downtown,
Yeah.
walking fast.
Exactly.
Hikaru passes and you get distracted. You're like, damn, gotta watch him walk away real quick.
Oh man, yeah. So all that stuff. So yeah, haven't made a ton of more story progress. I actually looked, and I think I've actually only done like less than 10 main quests.
God, Jared.
But if you're only that a couple more ahead
it's
of
true.
me, though.
And as far as main quests go, there aren't that many. So it
guess
makes
that's
sense
true.
that you wouldn't have done that many main quests. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm now at least a couple more big leaps ahead of you.
Yeah.
Because I just got the third one.
Oh yeah, you're way
yeah.
ahead.
So I'm ahead.
You're
But
you're moving up.
I'm moving on up. But there's still big chunks of the map that I have not explored
keep-
yet.
Opening the map and only keeping it in the area where I'm at. And last night again, I like zoomed out and I was like, good God, this map is massive.
I made the conscious decision to try and knock out a couple more big story items kind of back to back so that I could have more freedom to explore.
Sure.
Because I figured, like, well, there are probably upgrades built into those missions
Very true.
that might help this go faster.
Very true.
And I was right about that. So it's not a bad idea to just plow through with some of the big story beats and then go on endless side quests to your heart's content.
Which this game is so good
Which is
for.
what I plan to fully do for the rest of this weekend. So
Hell yeah.
I'm going to do 10 squats, which probably isn't enough.
Per hour, or just like to start off the whole thing?
Start off like
Okay.
a little 10 squat warm up
Sure,
and
sure.
then sit on my butt for 10 hours.
Just flatten it out and
You just
play it again at the
flatten
end.
it out. Yep. I'm going to need a lot of like what's the it's not Botox because they don't do that to your butt, do they?
Just injections? Like
Sure,
butt
injections. Yeah, I'm going to need whatever they get in Brazil, the Brazilian butt lift. That's what I'm going to need to fix this. Yeah. All right, anyways,
good,
the
good, good.
ABCs of gaming.
Moving on.
We got to
B is for butts.
B is for, yeah.
No, but anyway.
Man.
So we got G is what we're starting off with today. Do you want to kick it off? Or should I
Yeah,
kick it
sure. So I did have initially, I feel like this is true for most of the letters that we've done so far. Initially, when I was thinking about G's, I was like, I can't think of a single game that fits into this category.
off? Really? It
And
was pretty quick for
then
me.
After, because you've played stuff like God of War and did you not even think of God of
No!
War, you dumbass?
But I'm still happy with my pick. But because it was, I went with my gut. It was like the first thing that came to my head.
Okay.
So we'll get into it a
Gotcha.
little bit.
All right.
later.
Anyways, I figured that you would probably have more to pull from, and I just couldn't really think of anything until I thought of like the first game, and then that kind of cascaded the mental waterfall of like, oh
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
I actually do have a lot. Because the initial one that I was like, if I cheated, I think I could shoehorn it in. I was gonna go with Untitled Goose Game.
Oh my God.
Because
But
my
you could-
my reasoning was that it's got 2 G's in
I
it
did
for
Edith
starters.
Finch, What Remains Of, comma, What Remains Of. I think
So,
you could do Untitled Goose Game for G if you
First, I'm
wanted
going
to.
to talk about all the ones that are kind of the honorable mentions because I thought of them, but they're not the ones that I'm going with. I thought
Sure.
of Untitled Goose Game. I thought of Gone Home,
Oh,
that
yeah,
old walking
yeah,
sim that
yeah.
we played a long, long time ago. I thought of, oh God, it's already left my brain. There was like a third one that I was like, oh, that'd be a good one. And then it's already gone, which is
I
why I'm
wonder if
not
it might be
talking
my
about
pick.
it. Yep. Anyways, but the one that I eventually settled on is a game that I think I've maybe only talked about on this show max once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's old. So there's a reason you probably haven't heard me talk about it much. It's Gravity Rush.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
might vaguely remember
Did
this
you
game.
ever move to Gravity Rush 2? That's the one where it's like I know the game, like I know like from when it came out and all that stuff in the trailers, but like
Yeah.
I didn't remember, and I knew you were interested maybe in 2, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
Ever went
So
to
I
it.
never did manage to move on to Gravity Rush 2, which is too bad because it is a direct story continuation of the
Oh.
first game. And so just as a reminder, with our ABCs of gaming, the way that we're doing them is these letters aren't necessarily representations of what we think is the best game in these categories.
Yeah.
This is our opportunity to just talk about games that we don't often get to talk about, or
Just
the ones
hold a
that you really,
special
really like,
place.
or one that you hate and you
Yeah.
never get to talk about them. So this is a real open platform, and I just kind of wanted to talk about Gravity Rush because I feel like it's one of those games that I didn't necessarily love, but I still think about it a lot.
Yeah.
Like it just something about it managed to implant itself into my brain, and it just kind of stayed there. And I think the things that really work well for Gravity Rush are, if you've never seen or played the game, it is available for PS4. I think both Gravity Rush 1 and 2 are available for PS4
Yes.
now. the remastered Gravity Rush, the first game, is also on PS4. You don't have to get physical copies. Virtual ones are available. Physical copies are considered sort of collector's items, so they're very expensive.
Okay.
So just get the digital copy. It's perfectly fine. But originally, it was a PS Vita game.
Oh,
Yeah, did you not know that?
I did not know that.
So Gravity Rush, the first game, was originally a 2012 launch for the PS Vita. And it was one of the better lauded games for the Vita because it made use of the gyroscopic controls. Because the whole point of Gravity Rush is you play as this character, Kat. And Kat is what's called a shifter in the universe that she lives in, which their town is called Hexville.
Yeah.
But it's spelled stupidly with like a bunch of K's and S's. And it's like, you could have just gone H-E-X. But it's called Hexville, and she's considered a shifter, basically a person that has this ability to activate a kind of short-range gravitational field around her body. So within a space of like maybe a meter, like maybe 3 feet, just kind of a sphere around her, she can activate these gravitational powers, and she basically just loses gravity. And anything near enough to her also loses its gravity.
Oh, interesting.
So like if you activate it and you're around other civilians, they're like, oh shit,
We're flying.
yeah. You can leave them in the dust, obviously, but you could potentially drag them along with you for
no.
a while. And it's like, I'm sorry.
And I assume that if you're like way high up and you let them go, they die. They
They'll
splat.
die. Yeah, they'll
no.
splat. Well, you never see them splat, but you assume.
You hear their
Yeah,
screams.
you assume they're dead. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I can survive this, but they can't. So Kat is a shifter in this mysterious place called Hexville. And kind of one of the big reasons that I wanted to talk about Gravity Rush is that it has such an interesting concept and setting. It's one of those games where the setting really kind of makes the experience. Because Hexville and the surrounding towns and other areas around it are all sort of in this world that is definitely, it's not modeled on Earth, it's not modeled after our world.
Right.
It's kind of like a spatial world tree almost. I think in the game they might call it the pillar.
Okay.
Is like the representation of everyone that exists in this world, the world surrounding Hexville, lives on this thing called the pillar. And it's basically just this seemingly infinite vertical ascent of like a pillar-shaped thing that has a bunch of people and towns on it and nothing else. Like if you look out from Hexville, there ain't nothing out there.
Oh, interesting.
There's no ocean, there's no floor, there is no ceiling. They're just floating in empty space, except for all of the evil creatures that come from the space and want to kill them. So there are these things called the Nevi. I think I'm pretty sure they're called the Nevi. If I'm wrong about that, my bad. They're these just sort of amorphous, blobular, gross space creatures. They remind me a lot of the Twilight people from Twilight Princess.
Oh, I don't
So
know who
that's
those are
okay.
either.
Other people might know, but if you remember like the imp people from Twilight Princess, the Nevi kind of look like them, but worse. They're obviously much more evil, and they all have these big red like core orbs in them that are their hearts, and that's
Yeah.
what you kill to destroy them, blah blah. So Kat, using her shifter powers, her whole job is that she's lost her memory. She's an amnesiac. She has no idea how she got gravitational powers. That's a mystery. So she's just kind of like, well, I guess I'll just start a new life then. So she literally sets up shop in the sewers because she's like, where can I live that's
Logical place.
rent-free? So she finds like a nice little spot in the sewers, and then one of the side quests that you can periodically go on is bringing back cool furniture, like using your
You don't
gravity field.
upgrade to a new place. You just stay in the sewers.
You just bring back sweet furniture to her place. So every now and then, if you're exploring Hexville, she'll find something and be like, oh, that might be a nice addition to the room. And it's like, yeah.
Why not?
So you just have to activate your gravitational field near the piece of furniture and then just drag it back with you, which is very funny. So Kat's got these amazing powers, but she's kind of like low on the socioeconomic rung, and people are very suspicious of her. They're like, oh God, where'd these powers come from?
Because someone's dragging
we don't
furniture,
really like you.
floating furniture down into
Yeah.
the sewers. It would raise
Initially,
suspicions.
It would raise suspicions. So initially, the people of Hexville are very sus about Kat. They don't like her at all. But you do gradually earn their trust by helping them, because Kat, as she's trying to find her place in this world, she's like, well, I got sweet powers. I guess I'll just help people with random tasks. And really, those tasks are random.
They are.
It can be stuff like, hey, I got a letter. Can you go deliver this to my friend? And you're
Throw
like,
it into my
"Sure."
gravity bubble.
Throw it into my gravity bubble. Literally. You're like, yeah, toss it in, buddy. And then you're off. So speaking of the gravity bubble and sort of the mechanics of the game, another thing that makes it very memorable is the higgledy-piggledy way.
Higgledy-piggledy?
I was trying to find the best word for it, and I was like, I really think that's the one. Is the helter-skelter, higgledy-piggledy way that you just kind of flail around gravitationally.
I was going to
around the
ask,
world.
do you have any control while you're
It
in
is
this?
very silly.
Yeah.
So basically, and it's so funny because Kat's body just kind of like ragdolls around and to an extent. Like you can gain some control, but if you very suddenly shift direction, because you have full 360 spherical degree of motion. So the minute you kind of set off gravitationally, and this is true for the PlayStation version, which is the only one I've played, the gyroscopics still apply. A lot of people forget, but the PS controllers do actually have gyroscopic
right.
abilities. So you basically activate your gravity, and then you just kind of tilt your controller all around to dictate which direction Kat goes, and she can go anywhere to an extent because your gravitational field does have a time limit on it, basically, like a meter that eventually runs out, and you have to land to regain it.
Sure.
So you can't just fly infinitely, but you can slowly upgrade the meter through your various skill trees, so you can gain the ability to stay in the air much longer. But the point is, when you activate gravity and pick a direction, Kat just kind of goes, "Phew," and you're like, okay.
And we're off.
And we're off. And then you really just have to maneuver yourself around Hexville, which is a bustling city, so you can smash right into crap. So you just have to manipulate her in the right ways to get her to somewhere instead of just skyrocketing off into space or down into space or off to the left, or because you can go anywhere and hit nothing unless you're hitting Hexville. The other fun part about it is that if you are actually in Hexville proper or like any of the surrounding towns, I'm saying Hexville, but there's more to it than just that.
Sure.
If you're in any of the physical towns, another way you can manipulate gravity is you can actually land on walls and ceilings and stuff and walk on them because obviously you can manipulate gravity. Why
Sure.
wouldn't you be able to walk straight up a wall? That's definitely something you can do. So it brings just to light all of these really interesting exploration abilities, which I think is where the game truly shines. Exploring Hexville and using your very silly gravity powers to just do silly stuff. There is a story under there, and it's actually really... I won't say it's interesting per se, because I'm not sure that that's the right word. It is Final Fantasy levels of batshit crazy. It's wild.
It's a story.
It is crazy. It's very, very unusual. It does revolve around Kat losing her powers and this other shifter named Raven, and Raven hates your guts, and you're like, bitch, I'm just trying to live in my sewer and collect furniture for my little sewer house. You don't have to be fighting me. But it's all about, where do the Nevi come from? What's going on in Hexville? Why is the city, the town, literally being torn apart and into other realms by these mysterious gravity holes, basically? So there's all kinds of crazy shit going on in the background, but you can easily just have a fun time.
Yeah.
Blasting around doing your own thing until eventually you run out of stuff to do and you have to engage with the story. So I will say that the combat I always found very annoying. I did not love fighting the Nevi. It just didn't feel intuitive.
Yeah.
Because basically you just have to gravity yourself far enough away from them to gravity back at them at full speed and just using sheer momentum and force blast them to smithereens.
Oh.
You can't actually fight.
Damn.
That's not true. You've got like punches and kicks, but they're very weak.
You got to use the
The
gravity
real
powers
thing
for
is
the
to
real
use your
punch.
gravity powers, yeah. So I hated that part, didn't love the combat. If it had been purely an explorational game, I would have loved it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why I never moved on to Gravity Rush 2, which is probably a shame because I heard they made a lot of improvements. So, and I also just heard in general that the fans of the series loved Gravity Rush 2. So apparently it was a very worthy successor. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit about Gravity Rush, a batshit crazy game that did some wild shit with its concepts,
Yeah.
the likes of which I really haven't seen before or since, except for Mario Galaxy.
Well, fun.
I kind of wish more games would do weird stuff like that. Is
Yeah.
really the reason that I wanted to talk about it. It's got a weird mechanic. Don't see much of that. I would like to see more weird experimentation like that in games.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, my G game is one.
Is it now God of War?
It's not God of War.
Wait,
no,
can
I'm
I
still
guess
not-
another one?
Sure.
Gears of War.
No.
Shit. Okay, that was my only other guess.
No, I actually did completely space on God of War, but no, my pick for G, I did go with my gut on it. It was like the first one when I thought of G, I immediately thought of this game, and it's Grease from Nomada Studio.
Of course. I thought about that one too, but honestly, that's the other one I was going to say.
I wondered if it was.
The reason I didn't pick it is because I was like, I bet Jared's going to talk about Grease, so I didn't want to.
There it is.
Overlap.
Grease, yes. So Grease is actually a very short game, very small, self-contained game where you play as an unnamed woman who is going through the stages of grief. The word Grease is French for gray,
Yeah.
I believe.
Because it's
And-
GRIS.
Yes. And apologize.
Grease lightning.
Apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation. But and you basically you understand that you're just like traveling through these different areas, fighting through these different, I would say, low-level environmental puzzles. Like it's not a huge like
Yeah.
thinker of a game.
No, it's not.
But the whole point is that you can tell that you're a singer, but you no longer have your voice. And so throughout this game, you're traveling through these different areas, performing these different small puzzles in this effort of trying to regain your voice back. Through the course of it, though, you realize that you've lost your voice because you're going through some form of grief, but you don't know if that's
Some
because
sort of
you've
trauma,
lost someone,
some
sort of personal trauma, something like that. And so through the themes of the game, it's one of those that it's somewhat hard to explain because you have to really you have to like really experience it and how it like through it's the art form of it and how it's designed and the art design of it. It really is something to behold, and it is a very quick game. So I would recommend that people do this because as you kind of like go through these areas, they're kind of bland, but like have a specific overall tone to them, like a red area, a green area, and stuff like that. But as you progress and go through the different areas, you slowly transform it, and it becomes these beautiful, lush landscapes filled with ornate architecture and design, and it's just truly a very visually engrossing game.
It truly does look like a moving watercolor painting.
Yes.
And it's just done, the colors are done so well with keeping true to that appearing like the true medium of watercolor. It is such a visual game.
Yes.
More so than I think most other games that I've ever played. If you're not appreciating the art of Grease, you're not playing it correctly.
Right.
That's really kind of the point. That's the
Oh
point.
yeah,
of the
for
game.
sure. But another part of it that backs up the visuals of this game and what makes them so great is that the game's outstanding soundtrack by Berlinist. And that soundtrack has some incredible emotional tones that paired with the visuals of this game is just an emotional gut punch, really. Or at least it was for me when I played it. Because right when I played this was right after we'd suffered a loss in my family and everything like that when my niece had passed away from cancer. And so like playing that right after having gone through that did have a very like heavy emotional resonance with it.
I can't imagine.
And so I was kind of like got into it and understand and was like seeing what I was playing. I was like, is this best for me right now?
But you know, sometimes.
But like sometimes it's healing, and I
Yeah.
really do think that Grease was one of those games for me. And so that definitely like it has that emotional resonance within me and everything whenever I listen to the soundtrack and kind of like remember the emotion and everything, because the end of the game, not trying to spoil or give anything away, but it has a wonderful climax when
Oh,
it
it
reaches
does.
when it reaches its conclusion.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a beautiful game through and through. So I just had to give G to Grease.
And quick note on the artist and creative lead for Grease, it's Conrad Rosett. He does actually have an Instagram, so you can go look at that if you want to. You can tell by basically all of the other works that he's put on his social media channels that watercolor is his preferred medium, and his art is beautiful. So congration Berlinist and congration Conrad Rosett for making one of the most memorable and visually beautiful games. I was thinking this
Yeah.
just the other day that I was like, it's been long enough that I should just do another Grease playthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to say like what was it 6 hours
Oh,
maybe?
it was maybe
4 to 6.
hours.
Like it was
Yeah.
a pretty quick
Like
playthrough.
it's that
but
perfect 2-day weekend game.
Yeah.
You can just blast right through it. Well, you shouldn't blast right through it. You should take your time and appreciate it and experience that
definitely.
world for the short time that you have with it.
Right. I would say, honestly, like, you know how people hold Journey in very high regard as being like a very
Greece
heavy
is-
emotional game and stuff like that. I admittedly have not yet played Journey. I need to.
But you're right.
But Greece for that is that level
is.
for me
Yeah.
of how
So,
other people talk about it.
Absolutely. And if you're the kind of person that enjoyed Journey or other games like it and you haven't somehow played Greece, please do.
Yeah.
You will love it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. But what is your letter H, though?
It's very obvious.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, you want to know what my letter H is?
Is it Hollow Knight?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Different H. Then continue on.
Is yours Horizon?
For Zero Dawn.
Zero
the first
Dawn.
One. Yeah.
Okay, no.
I thought you were going to say Horizon Forbidden West, and I was like, oh, yeah, duh, it's obvious because she's playing it right now and can't get
No,
enough.
I'm sorry,
But
yeah,
no,
that-
Hollow Knight makes way more
Given
sense.
the current time of recording, I can understand the confusion. No.
I was like, oh, great, we can just double team this one real quick.
I know that earlier I said that it doesn't necessarily have to be the best game in that letter category or a game that you love, but in this
Right,
case, it
right.
has to be
It
Hollow
does.
Knight.
It does.
Hollow Knight is still firmly in the 1 to 3 top games of all time that I have ever played, and
Yeah.
it kind of still occupies space number 1. So obviously, I haven't redone my list in a while, but
We should.
We should. But there's not much
Yeah.
that can displace Hollow Knight. So I'm not going to go too much into it because we do have a full review episode of Hollow Knight that is easily over an hour long.
Yeah, I want to say that's like one of
Yeah.
our like hour 30 ones.
Oh, it's quite long. So if you haven't heard my full thoughts on the game, you can go watch that episode. But just to kind of briefly summarize what it is, it's a Metroidvania game. So it is a 2D platformer with lots of what's the term that I really like using now? Platforming exploration, or something like
Yes,
that.
I think so.
The point is, it's a mix of combat and exploration.
Right.
Because even though it's a 2D world, very similar to the Metroid games like Metroid Dread and Metroid Samus Returns and the older Metroid games and Castlevania, those
Right.
are all obviously where the name comes from. It encompasses a gigantic map, and exploring that map to the fullest is one of the biggest appeals of the game, followed by exceptional combat and controls. I still have played very few games that feel as good to play as Hollow Knight and as rewarding, because even though I'm not the kind of person I'm not the Soulsbornist.
Right.
I don't enjoy a challenge just for pain, but when it comes to Hollow Knight, I did beat the Path of Pain, and it hurt.
Yeah,
My
you were
soul.
struggling
I
through
was
it for a
struggling.
while.
Oh, it was a bad time.
Did you beat it on our extra live
I
stream?
did.
Okay,
I beat it
couldn't
on our
remember if it was
extra
like
live stream.
right then or that's when
Yeah.
like you were really struggle busting
I
through.
think the clip might actually still be on our channel.
I'll have to find it.
So-
I know I
and
still probably have
it
the
was-
recording somewhere
I think
too.
by that
I'll have
point,
to go back
it
and
was
find
at
it.
least midnight, maybe 1
I
to 2
wanna say it was
a.m.
2 a.m.
It was pretty.
It
It
was
pretty
into, like, the
close.
the wee hours of the
And you
morning.
had just gone to bed because we were going to trade out. So
Yep.
you were going to go take a nap, and I was going to continue playing Hollow Knight. And I had been on the Path of Pain for maybe 2 to 3 hours
Yeah.
at least, and it just was not. I mean, it was making progress, and I had gotten to the point where I had died the attempt before. So there was a point a little bit before that where I had tried it and gotten really, really far, but didn't know how far I
Right,
had gotten
right.
because I was like, oh well, I don't know where it ends. I'm playing this game not really with that many spoilers, so. Who knows? I may have
Right.
only made it a fourth of the way there. No, I had made it 9/10 of the way there, and then
nice.
died right at the very end.
That's
And then-
frustrating, but at least it like you kind of like that achievement. At least you're like, it's over.
That's the thing.
Thank God.
Not only that it was over, but that I redeemed myself. And that for me, it's just that rare example of actual mechanical achievement that I very rarely pursue.
Yeah.
So it really did feel like such an accomplishment. And I still feel very proud of myself for it. I'll probably never do it again. My poor thumbs can't handle it. But the gist is that Hollow Knight has one of the most beautiful art styles, even though it's all bugs.
Right.
So it's all kind of this fantastical bug world. So everything is meant to be on this very small scale against a world that is just full of horrendous dangers. The story of Hollow Knight is fascinating. It's one of those games where if you're kind of a deep lore lover, you're going to love Hollow Knight. So the combat absolutely rules. The soundtrack is still
It's very good.
one of the best I've ever heard.
Very good.
Christopher Larkin. The game is developed by Team Cherry, just a couple of random Australians that were like, should we make the best game ever made? Yeah, I think we'll
Let's do it.
Let's do it. They're currently working on Hollow Knight 2, air quotes, which is not the real title. It's called Silk Song, which is going to follow one of the other characters from Hollow Knight and kind of her journey, which very excited about that. So I just wanted to briefly talk about Hollow Knight. Most people already know how I feel about this game, and most people
Right.
know about it, but for the love of God, if you haven't played it, or maybe you gave up, Jarrett.
I did give up. It's
okay,
it's
I
a
understand.
tough one. It's a
It
tough
is
one.
tough. It's not harder than Blasphemous, though. And you beat Blasphemous.
But do you know how much of my soul died trying to beat Blasphemous?
But you won't lose that much playing Hollow Knight. So another really interesting thing about Hollow Knight is how much of its content is actually optional. There are big stretches of Hollow Knight that you don't have to engage with at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where you can really kind of create your own experience. You could go straight to the final boss to an extent. You have to do a couple things to get there.
Sure.
But you could basically just go straight to the final boss and leave huge stretches of the map totally unexplored.
Oh.
So it's got a lot of it's almost an open world. It's obviously not. It's a very contained world to an extent, but it feels so open and vast that exploring it is just incredibly rewarding, even when it's frustrating at times. It's just the best game ever.
Nice.
You should play it. Hollow Knight, 10 out of 10. Can't wait for Silk Song.
Very nice. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Silk Song started off originally as just going to be like a DLC, and then they were like, you know what? Never mind. We're making this a full game.
Yeah, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, they've been working on it for a bit.
But I have that same attitude with games like Breath of the Wild too,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I'll wait.
Take your time.
You take your time. I will happily wait for perfection. So you do whatever. It's two people in Australia.
I bet they might have a few more people now.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, they probably have a smaller team now, but you can tell that the game has so much love and heart put into it,
Yeah.
and that the people making it felt very passionate about their vision.
Nice.
It's such a good game. Everyone should play it, except for maybe people that don't like fighting and dying, because it is
a lot of
hard.
that. There's a lot
It
of
is
that.
difficult. Don't get me wrong, but it's the kind of difficult that I personally feel is worth it. It felt worth it to me. It doesn't feel unfair.
Yeah.
A lot of other games, the combat, you're like, really? Why did I die there? In Hollow Knight, it's like, I get it. I know exactly
makes
why I
complete
died.
sense.
Yeah, I fell right into the spikes. I do understand. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Hollow Knight, my very abbreviated thoughts. Go watch the full episode if you want more.
Awesome. In that same vein, my H game is one that I've also talked a lot about, and we are still kind of talking about since we are
Every
playing through
day.
the sequel every day.
Wait, get her out here.
Oh, she's not. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, little one.
Aloy. Aloe? I don't know. Aloe Vera?
Yeah, this is
Aloe Vera.
this is Aloe Vera, our best friend.
Boom, there she is. She's going to sit there for the rest
there
of this.
you go.
So, no, same way. There is a whole episode reviewing Horizon Zero Dawn that you can go listen to. And since we've talked so much with Horizon Forbidden West, I'm not really going to take a lot of time into it. Other than
get
to
the gist.
to state the fact that, yes, Horizon Zero Dawn is a fantastic game and currently sits, I believe, at my number 2 in top 10 games of all
Yeah,
time.
I remember that.
And so it's just, I think it's a perfect example of a new world, a new IP being fully fleshed out. My
Christ.
God, that
Sorry
was
about
close.
that. Whew.
Almost had a coffee
See
spill.
doodles.
But
and it's still very full. That would have, and it would all
it would
gone
have gone right on
straight at
me.
you.
It would have scalded me.
Well, it's actually it's not.
Oh,
even,
thank God.
It's quite cold now.
But I think just Horizon Zero Dawn is the perfect example of a new IP that really does it right with setting up a new world, a new lore, and just not only just a new world, but like everything about it is done to such perfect detail. With the enemies that you're going to fight, both human and machine, the various companions and other like tribes and peoples that you meet in your journeys, the look of the world of itself with like this obviously overrun natural look to these ruins of our current or like even future. So it's like this just, post-apocalyptic, but yet still incredibly beautiful because it's like 1,000 years after the
Yeah,
apocalypse.
and I
so
really
it's just
do-
like this, it's this incredible blend of like Stone Age and future. And it's just done so well. Not to mention the incredible lead character of Aloy, the incredible performance for Aloy done by Ashley Birch. It's my computer making some notification. It agrees that Ashley Birch did an incredible job.
Yeah. We got a little cheer from the crowd.
Yeah, and so I just think, like what you're saying about Hollow Knight, I think Horizon does it ticks every box for me, and it's just an incredible incredible game and experience.
I didn't play Horizon Zero Dawn, but having now experienced the world building of Horizon as its own universe, could not agree more.
Right?
I feel like this is the kind of game where you can go around and find just like little data logs and bits of lore from the before time, and those are the kinds of things that I live for.
Yes.
It's kind of like the same level of I wanted to find everything in control because every little piece did such a good job of feeling intentional and that it actually added something to the world, to the world building. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be on the writing team for these games. What a Herculean task.
Right? That's the stuff
my
about
God.
like I know I don't understand it all. Like
No.
the like programming aspect
my
to creating and
God.
designing and the art side of it all. I don't understand. My hat is off to you. But in the same way as my like admiration for people who can do that, same thing for the writers who are like making up all this stuff in the story team. Because good God, like how do you connect all those dots, create all of these things? I think I saw a tweet from one of the designers on Horizon Forbidden West. I don't know if they were involved with Zero Dawn, but saying that like the creative process for making a machine can take like a few months to years for like just doing one of the machines and like I think like 3
Like
months
its
to like
animations and
yeah
stuff.
to
Oh
like
my
a year
God.
or so or something
Well,
to
they
put it together
really-
and finesse it to what eventually makes it into the game. And I'm just like good God,
Good God.
because the designs of all these machines are so good.
Awesome. They're so
But,
cool.
but not even just the machines themselves, but even, like I said, the people and the tribes you interact with, giving them their each own unique feel with their own like costumes and culture that you can instantly feel just from talking to even some of the NPCs, your companions that travel along with you. And it's just so lush and vibrant.
Yeah.
And you're just like, my God, like it just sucks you in and you can't let go. I platinumed that game because I just like, and eventually that's when I was like, okay, I have to stop. I played the DLC. I can't tell you how many games that I love the main story and I don't go on to the DLC. But like this one I did, and I played through the Frozen Wilds in a fantastic edition. So now here I sit with Horizon Forbidden West, and I just couldn't be happier.
I do wonder, I mean, we haven't really talked about this since neither of us have finished the game yet.
Sure.
Do you think there's going to be DLC for Forbidden West?
I would say like at least one little like side story, like what they did with Frozen
yeah.
Wilds for Zero Dawn.
If it's not a dating sim, I'll sue. I will sue them.
Horizon Forbidden Smasher
Let me
Pass.
date Hikaru. Let me do it.
Oh man, so yeah,
That or
like,
it has to be like not Monster Hunter, Monster Rancher. I want to be able to go capture a bunch of creatures because I want a little burrower farm.
oh,
I
aren't those so cute? I still feel
think
bad killing those.
I do too because I think something you were talking about how the process of making the animations for the monsters, something about the burrower animation is so cute.
Yeah. When they like jump up, do a little
they're
twist and like dive into the
yeah.
earth. Yeah.
They are so cute. Every time I come across them, I'm like, my little friends.
I just want to pet you. I
just wish
did
to
make
pet
it where I
you.
can override them now. So I can
Yeah,
at
I
least
can
like have them
override
as a
them.
buddy for a little bit.
Yeah, gosh, they're so cute. I love them to death. And even like now that I've gotten to the point where I've discovered most of the monsters in this game, not all of them, but
Yeah.
I've encountered most of them, I'm like, Burrower's still 10 out of 10.
They're a great
Stupid
monster.
little
They're a great
monster, not
little
very
machine.
strong, but so cute.
So cute.
Such a good design. So yeah, I can agree with your statement heartily.
I mean, it's the same thing like what you were saying with Hollow Knight. We could sit here and just rave on it for forever. We've already done that a ton, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it now so that we can get into
Yeah.
Mogan's letter I.
So I had grand designs to come to the table with a new game
Mm-hmm.
that neither of us have ever played before. I bought and intended to play.
Oh, wait. This is the one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is the one that we were like trying to guess in the Discord what your letter
okay.
I was.
Okay, you can go ahead and guess the real one because I think you might know it.
Okay. Is it? This is for people who don't know. We had like this huge like
Oh, it
conversation.
was
I
a
think
long
in the
convo.
Rogues Gallery, our
Yeah.
like patron one. But like we were people trying to guess what your eye and I was like, I bet I know.
I think Bro Mogan and or you are the ones who were like, I think I know what it is. So
Okay.
you probably do.
Is it indivisible?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Good job. Got it. Got him. I am going to talk about Indivisible, but I wanted to throw a wrench into those plans because, yes, when that conversation was going on, I had already decided to do Indivisible.
Sure.
But then I remembered that Just Mike Plays, good old Father Mike, friend of the show, Triple XP podcast.
Yep, check him out.
He, I think, recommended to me a long time ago an RPG called, like a JRPG kind of
Yeah.
styled game, a game called Ikenfell. Ikenfell.
I've never heard of this.
It's on Steam. I bought it on Steam.
Okay.
I had the best intentions to play it, and then Horizon came out. So that didn't happen.
It happens, you know?
Yeah, it
just happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's got to take a back seat.
Sometimes you just get got. So I wanted so badly to talk about Ikenfell or Ikenfell. I don't know how other people say it. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Stay tuned for that nebulous review at some point in the future.
After
Who knows
300
when.
hours into Horizon.
After 300 hours into Horizon. And I still have to play Death's Door, which you got for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Come on.
I know. And we still have Life is Strange True Colors.
I know.
Oh, Jesus.
The pressure. And now I have to play the Star Wars Lego Star Wars Skywalker
At
Saga
least
game.
I feel like that's a short game. That's got to be.
Oh no, it's
is
not.
it not? Oh.
Because you play through a story for all 9 of the main story movies of Star Wars, and apparently they're like each planet that you can go to in these. There's a ton of exploration because like each planet's open world and stuff like that.
Oh
like
no!
bukus of figures that you can play as and stuff like that. Oh, it's a plane. I couldn't tell if that was Birdie.
I know. I thought it was one of the dogs growling, which I've never heard before.
No,
so
I was like,
oh my
we're about
God,
to get
what's
got,
happening?
but no, it's just a plane. But no, like there's a lot to that game. It's not going to be a short one, and it's not going to be a quick one.
would you be mad if I
I'd be
just
like,
dunked?
I'd just be like, why? More than anything.
It's just plastic. It'll just wash right off.
But no, yeah, there's a lot to that game. So like, but the pull to play it is there. I'm surprised that I have not succumbed yet.
Well, you already met my husbando, so if you want to take a
I'm
quick
free to do it
break,
now?
I understand.
Okay, thank God.
Wait, we actually did. Quick aside, we didn't talk about the other guy, Katalo.
Oh, I don't think I met Katalo yet.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. You might not be there yet. All right, you have actually met him before, very briefly. He was at the
embassy thing?
The embassy, yeah. He was one of the people at
Does
the
he have
embassy.
like one arm or something?
Yes.
Okay, I did see him.
Yeah,
okay,
so you
I
have
haven't
met
like
him
super
before.
interacted with him yet.
That's fine. So, anyways, the point is, I think in the Discord, I put that screenshot of all the ships that were Aloy approved by Google, and Hikaru wasn't one of them. Katalo's the first one that comes up.
Oh.
These Katalo stands need to get out. You are ruining my good time. Anyways, that's it. All right, so Indivisible. Yes, I was actually talking about something. God, okay. So I did want to talk about Indivisible mainly because I was one of the letters that I struggled with the most.
I was questioning it, but then I found a solid gem.
I could not think of anything until I went and reminded myself about my Switch library, and I was like, oh yeah, Indivisible. I love that game. So for anybody that doesn't remember me talking about it before, I think I did do a review a while ago.
Not too long ago, like maybe like 10, 15-ish episodes ago.
Yeah. So we've talked about Indivisible before, but the gist is it is a beautifully animated 2D side scroller. I will not call it a Metroidvania because that's really not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a blend of an RPG and a beat 'em up. It's kind of like a weird fighting game.
Okay.
It's like if you smashed the turn-based combat of a JRPG together with a fighting game and made it to where things like combos and floats and carries matter.
Okay.
So the idea is that you play as main character Ajna. And if we ever do another installment of like best female characters or best protagonists or anything like that, if we ever do another one of those, Ajna's going on that list. Because in many cases, for many, many games, I don't like the protagonist. Especially with JRPGs. It's very common that whoever the designated protag of the JRPG is, that person usually sucks. I don't like Titus from Final Fantasy X. Squall Leonhardt fucking blows from Final Fantasy VIII. He's the worst. Really, even Dart from The Legend of Dragoon, he's the weakest character in terms of personality.
Because you're supposed to imprint yourself on them,
exactly.
you know? But like, who wants to take the time to do that?
In Squall's case, he did have a personality, but it was a big emo sad sack boy. So you're like, oh God, he's awful. So in many cases, I cannot stand the leads of RPGs and turn-based JRPGs. But in Ajna's case, she rules.
Nice.
She has so much personality. She's a feisty little gal, and she's like, I want to punch. And I'm like, yeah, you go for it. Punch him, kick him. So the gist is that she comes from a tribe or a clan way out in the boonies, and her father has been teaching her basically like super cool martial arts her entire life, but he's very distant and cold. And she's like, wow, my dad kind of fucking sucks. And then one day, her village gets attacked by these
no.
unknown invaders. They totally kill her dad. It's at the beginning, not a spoiler, doesn't count. They totally kill her dad, and she's like, I'll avenge you, father.
What a trope. Like, can we move past this?
But there's so much about herself that she doesn't know because her mother died, I think, either in childbirth or when she was a baby. So she's never really known much about her mother because her father won't really talk about her.
Yeah.
All she knows is that she's got this inherited axe from her mother. And it's not like a cool axe. It's a regular fireman, like standard axe.
Yeah.
So her main weapon is a big ass axe, and you're like, hell yes. Punch, kick, axe to the face. I
Nice.
love everything
Good
about
combo.
this. But Ajna discovers in the process of her village getting annihilated that she has this unusual ability to absorb other people into her mind palace, if you will.
Okay.
Because she, like the kind of culture that she comes from, she, like meditation and mental fortitude are big parts of her way of fighting.
Sure.
So through the process of meditation, she can just kind of, like she just kind of absorbs people into herself.
Kirby style.
Kirby style. But they don't disappear. They're in her head and they're like, what the fuck? Let me out.
That's somewhat terrible.
Yeah, it really. So the very first person, I think his name is maybe like Dec or Deca. Oh, what is his name? I love him. He's the worst, but I love him. He's my problematic favorite boy. I don't remember what his name is, but he rules. He's the commander of the force that destroys her village.
Oh.
He's in the process of killing Ajna, and then she absorbs him. So this enemy commando is in her head, and he's like, let me out.
I'm going to start poking things in here.
And she's like, I don't want you in here any more than you do. So she's like trying to get him out. But because her powers are kind of new, she doesn't really know how to control them. So she just goes around the world absorbing people into her brain. And I think eventually she does sort of gain more of an ability to be like, hey, you want in here? It's a party in here at this point. People are like, sure, I'll join you.
I like how two of your selections for this episode have involved sucking people into like yourself or an orb around you.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a pattern
Yeah,
here.
I've got weird patterns. But anyways, so Ajna can just sort of absorb people into herself, and then in combat, she can deploy them back out to fight alongside her. And
Okay.
this is where the combo system comes into play and the really unusual style of turn-based combat. Because essentially each character has a suite of special moves that they can do. And the idea, and I never really mastered this, but I understood what the game was trying to get from me. I just wasn't good at it. But not to the extent that it was unplayable. I just was never able. It's like Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
I will never be as good as the people that can put together those wild combos.
Right,
That's not in the
right.
cards for me. So I get it. Can't get to that level, but it's still fun. So the idea is that you use each of your characters' special moves, their ultimate abilities, and their basic moves to chain together these massive combos on the enemies before they can get you. You need to be able to defend at the right times. You have to be able to parry, actually. You can parry attacks, and if you do, it gives you a big boost to your meditation power, basically your ultimate. It gives you a big
Sure.
boost to your ultimate charge. And it's just such an unusual and unique combat style that I don't think I can think of another game that's done it quite the same.
Nice.
And on top of that, the art style is beautiful.
I remember when you talked about it the first time. We looked at some
yeah.
pictures and stuff. It is
It
great.
is such a visually pleasing game, not in the same way that a game like Grease is. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. Grease is a visual masterpiece. That is literal
Agreed.
art. I'm not sure that Indivisible counts as art on the same level that Grease does, but it's still so well designed, beautifully animated. Everything looks so fun and sleek and cool, and the world is really fun to explore. I actually realized kind of maybe at like the midway point that I had acquired, I didn't know this at the time, but that I had acquired characters that were completely optional.
Yeah.
Just because I chose to go to places where they were, and then they got absorbed. I Kirby'd them. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize these people were optional. I kind of thought that they were on the set story path. Not true. It is one of those games that actually has more openness to it than you initially think it will. It's also got a crazy ass story, not in the way that Gravity Rushes almost makes no sense.
Yeah.
The story of Indivisible makes sense. It almost feels like playing an anime. And Studio Trigger actually did the opening animation for the game, which is why it looks so
Very nice. Very nice.
Looks so good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, Indivisible, a wild ass game. If you are a fan of turn-based RPGs and fighting games, give it a try. You might be blown away by it, and maybe if you're good at combos, you will get more out of it than I did. And that's saying that I got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
It's a fun system, but maybe you'll be amazing at it, and you can send me clips of your gameplay, and I'll be like, well, fuck you.
Don't show me up like
Don't
this.
show me up like that. You come into my house.
You dare
Hey, you
to
dare.
be better at Indivisible than me. The gall.
Yeah, Indivisible rules. And if you haven't played it and it sounds interesting, go for it. By this point, it's got to be on sale somewhere or find it used. It's a pretty niche game, though. I'm actually, now that I think
I mean,
about
it's got to
it,
be digitally
I
available
think
just
it
about
was
anywhere, right?
Kickstartered.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that this was a Kickstarter-funded game. So it did eventually get a physical release, though. I have the physical release. I think it's available on most consoles by now. I have it on Switch, and it plays fine. It's not like Cozy Grove. It actually plays well.
Good.
I'm pretty sure it's on PlayStation. May or may not be on Xbox.
Okay.
And I believe it's also available for PC. So you can find it all kinds of places. Go for it. It's such a fun, cool game.
Nice.
Very weird, very interesting.
Cool. Well, while you're bringing Indivisible to the list for this one, I am bringing a game that is one. I've only played this first entry of the game. I really did enjoy it, and I realized in doing this and looking for an iGame, I don't think I've ever talked about this game on the show.
Really?
Yes, I think it's a first timer.
Do I know that you've played it?
Doubtful. I think that's how little I've talked about it.
Wow.
But I was kind of like going same thing. I was like, I don't really know of an iGame. Going through the list, I saw it and was like, oh, duh, of course. This game was super fun back when I played it. It's Infamous from Sucker Punch Studios, who later have done Ghost of Tsushima. Infamous, yes.
Huh.
So
I'm not
basically,
even
the
sure I
story
know what
is
that
you
is.
play as Cole McGrath, and you survive an explosion from some like mysterious device in this alternate world. You're living in Empire City, but it's a knockoff of New York City. And so it kind of has this like almost like a comic book superhero kind of feel to it in the game and what it is.
Wait, real quick,
Okay.
I just have to say the Wikipedia page has already caught me by surprise. It's the right one because it mentions protagonist Cole McGrath, comma, a bike messenger. And then it's like, what bike messenger? What?
Yeah, he like is supposed to deliver this package, opens it, some
That's
device
incredible.
explodes, and after this explosion and surviving it, he is then imbued with these electrical abilities.
He becomes Static Shock from famed cartoon that no one remembers, Static Shock.
Of course. So like he's able to use these to later in the game, like he can like levitate and float and like blast up buildings and stuff. He can use them in fights and everything.
Ooh, does he make a pew pew sound when he does it?
No, it's more of like
what
a
oh,
because he's
bummer.
like punching people or shooting lightning bolts and
Not
stuff
as
like
fun.
that. But anyway, the whole point of this is like this. The city has gone through some kind of like epidemic that has like really been ravaging the city and the area, and these various like gangs and groups are vying for control.
So it's
And
kind
so
of like
you-
a state of anarchy, sort of.
In a-
Like
in a
the
sense,
government
yeah.
control has collapsed.
Yeah. And so it is really in this state of anarchy and like these various groups vying for control. And you kind of like emerge as this like unifying force who can either protect the city from these groups or even fall in line with them because there is a good bad karma system in this
I
game.
love a good bad karma.
It's
system.
really good in this game because it's particular. Like if you accidentally kill a civilian in this like because it's an open world third person game,
That sways the balance.
it sways the balance.
Ooh, I love that.
So, and there are obviously like decisions you'll make through playing the story that will also sway that balance. And so I honestly, it's one of those things I have not thought about Infamous in so long, but I saw the name and I was like, I need to do some refresher on it and read it. And I was like, oh man, I forgot how fun this game
That's
was.
exactly why we're doing this topic.
Exactly.
To find and remember these kinds of games. It's like, oh yeah.
And it actually spawned 2 sequels and like there's Infamous 2 and Infamous Second Son. And then Infamous Second Son, which was a PS4 launch game, I want to say,
Oh, okay.
has like an expansion / standalone game, Infamous First Light. And there's one for Infamous 2 that's called Infamous.
Second Light.
No, it's like Festival of the Night or something like that. And it's like
Oh.
vampire themed.
Whoa,
Yeah.
cool. Everybody
So-
likes vampires.
So there's a lot of like a big like world set up to this game too. And I've only played the first game.
Was that the epidemic? Vampires?
No, it
Oh.
wasn't. I don't think. I don't remember what the epidemic was, but no, I don't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't vampires.
Okay.
You're vampires fighting vampires with like, these electrical abilities. But
What
I
a
remember
silly
this game like
premise.
had a super fun like movement because it's very parkour, a la like the the Assassin's Creed. But honestly, probably similar more in style to like a Superman game, not Superman, a Spider-Man game, with how you can like go up the sides of buildings, use your electrical abilities to launch yourself from building to building, and all this stuff. But what's cool is that your electrical abilities over time will drain. You have a meter that
okay.
drains them. And so you have to replenish it by finding some sort of electrical outlet, like not like a plug-in outlet, but like a street light, a neon
Okay.
sign, a car,
Something
and
that you
even
can
later
steal
on,
the energy from.
people.
Oh,
And you
God.
can drain them
my
and refill your
God.
electrical abilities.
Whoa.
And so, like, obviously, you can use that for the good or bad karma path, however you see fit.
I would just be shooting civilians all over the place.
yeah,
Just
like,
slurp it right out of them.
I played it obviously a good way because it's impossible for me to play as a bad guy like that. But
what a coward.
I know, I really am. But still, I just remember like using these super cool because you could obviously like do energized like punches, kicks, and stuff like that, and you could have combos that you could pull off. But there were also like where you could shoot beams or like electrical bombs and different things like this. You could ride around on subways throughout the city and different things like that, fight on top of them, fight from them. It was just this really fully fleshed out world that lets you explore it in really unique ways with these different electrical abilities. And so I really enjoy that. The story of it was pretty solid too, as you're like, obviously it can vary depending on your choices of like how the tone and overall feel of the game's going. But I do remember that the ending of it really had a pretty unique twist that I thought was
Really?
fun
I wanna
and
know about
not
it.
expected at all from
Can you
when I
just
was
tell
going
me
through
the
it.
twist? Because I'm
The
never
game
going
came
to
out in
play this
2009,
game.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Quick spoiler for the end of Infamous, the
spoiler.
first game.
Basically, the bad guy that you're fighting later turns
He's your
out
father.
no, it's a future version of you who comes back from an alternate timeline. Whoa! So there's like weird stuff like that in it too, and so you have this.
Can
like,
you
either
marry
big,
yourself?
Well, it's this thing. It's like you either like join or fight them depending on like I feel like depending on your if you play
Your
good or bad
alignment.
karma and
Gotcha.
stuff like that. So it was really cool, really fun. I remember the combat more than anything really standing out. What's up, bird?
Just wanted to boop her on her little nose.
It's a very cute nose to boop. I don't blame you a bit. And so I just remembered it being a really fun time to play through it and everything. Again, I don't know why I never moved on to this other game since I did have a good time with the first one. What's funny, though, is I only actually played this game because I got it for free during the massive PlayStation Network outage in like 2011. Do you remember that at all?
No.
There was like
I don't think, to be fair, in 2011, I defo was not on PlayStation Network.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't
So
have that
it was,
ability.
I was on it with the PS3 and all that stuff at that point. But there was like I want to say it was like a 2-month period where PlayStation Network was just down. It got like it was
Really?
like hacked or like breached in some way,
Oh
and
my
it was just
God.
down.
So you
for a
couldn't play
long time.
online?
You couldn't play online. So I remember I played. That's when I finally played through Resident Evil 5. But but so after they finally got it fixed, they're like, "Look, we're super sorry. Here's 3 games. You guys can pick one, and you get it for free." And so like I picked
what were the other
Infamous.
choices?
I want to say a Little Big Planet
Oh.
and
Resident
maybe
Evil 5?
Medal of Honor.
Oh.
I want to say like a Medal of Honor. They're like whichever like current Medal of Honor game.
If I had been online at that time and those had been my 3 choices, I would have sued and been like,
or
boo!
maybe it could have been a racing. It could have been like Gran Turismo or something like that.
well,
But anyway, so I picked up Infamous through that, and so it was super
Fascinating.
fun. And
What a
so like,
cool story.
yeah, and I played it after that, and I was like, huh, well worth it. Forgiven, Sony.
That's amazing. Quick honorable mention, because we haven't really done honorable mentions yet. I forgot my honorable mention for the H's, Hitman. The Hitman
Oh.
games. Oh my god, I've only played
I was thinking
some
about Hades
of,
for the H.
Oh, I've only played some of Hitman 2, but good god, what I played, I loved.
I think
what
I've
a
only played.
fun game.
I think I've only played Hitman Absolution, and same thing. Like
Oh,
it
man.
was fun.
Fun game. 10 out of 10. I definitely want to go back and play the entire series, especially Hitman 3, when I do eventually get a PS5 someday.
That I'm gonna say would be a super fun game for you to stream.
It would be super fun because, man, Bro Mogan watching me play Hitman 2, he was
Yeah.
like, really going about things in a different way.
Well, because there's so many different avenues
there's
that
so
you
many
can
different
perform
avenues.
the takedowns and everything.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like there's a ton of replayability.
Oh, yeah.
and like a way where like people could throw specific challenges your way and stuff like that. I think that would be a
So
really fun
Hitman
one.
is my honorable mention for the H's. For the I's, I did briefly think about trying to shoehorn in Infinite, Bioshock, because it's my favorite of the Bioshock games.
Yeah.
I love it. So I would have talked about that one, but yeah, cool game. So those are my 2 honorable mentions.
Very nice. I really think, I mean, I'll shout out, yeah, sure, God of War, because yeah, it is fun. I was actually
Obviously.
just talking about God of War 3 with Cody the other day when we were playing some games, and just talk about like how brutal God of War 3 is. And I was even like, man, that game was a lot of fun. I remember like playing the demo of it and everything, and I have it remastered for PS4, so I kind of made me want to go through that again. And then yeah, for H, I would definitely say like Hades, but Horizon had to take it.
Yeah,
for
understandable.
me. But
All right, so those are our GHs and I's.
GHs and I's. We had Grease, Horizon Zero Dawn, and
Infamous.
Just talked about it.
And I had Gravity Rush, Hollow Knight, and Indivisible.
There it is, your GH and I for our ABCs of games. But thanks for joining us for this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Come back next week for another great episode about a video game topic, which we'll let you know what it is when we get there, because we might not know. Because like we said, we don't plan
We
ahead.
don't plan ahead. We just show
We
up.
just show up, sit down, and start talking, and what comes out is what we send to you. But until next time, everybody, I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined across the table by my co-host, Rachel Moby.
Peace out.
We'll see you all next time.